From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
Hi, this is Micah Halpern sitting in for Teisha Bader, and here is the JBS News Update for Monday, September 12th, 2022. Iran's elite Revolutionary Guards have hijacked a foreign ship in the Persian Gulf for allegedly smuggling 757,000 liters of diesel out of Iran. That news comes to us via IRNA, the Iranian state news agency. IRNA reported that the unnamed vessel's 7 crew members, all foreign nationals, have been handed over to Iranian legal authorities. The news agency did not release the nationality of the ship or the nationalities of the crew members. Iran, which has some of the world's cheapest fuel prices due to heavy subsidies and the plunge in the value of the national currency, has been fighting rampant fuel smuggling, both by land to neighboring countries and by sea to Gulf Arab states. The guards have detained several ships over the past few months for smuggling fuel in the Gulf. This hijacking indicates how serious Iran is about wanting to totally control the export of their fuel. Only they can break the embargo, not private companies, not investors, not pirates. Albania was the target of a major cyber attack. In July, the Albanian government's computer system was targeted by malicious cyber attacks, and it was Iran that was behind the attack. In response, the United States government imposed sanctions on Iran's intelligence agency and its leadership. The U.S. Treasury Department's Office of Foreign Assets Control designated Iran's Ministry of Intelligence and Security and Ismail Khatib, who heads the ministry, as terror actors responsible for cyber-related activities against the U.S. and its allies. Albania, a NATO member, cut diplomatic ties with Iran and expelled all Iranian embassy staff because of the cyber attack. It was the first known case of a country cutting diplomatic relations over a cyber attack. Brian Nelson, the U.S. Treasury Undersecretary for Terrorism and Financial Intelligence, issued a statement that reads, Iran's cyber attack against Albania disregards norms of responsible peacetime state behavior in cyberspace. Turkey has begun to reassess its role in the war against terror. Turkish leadership has decided to crack down on the terrorists that have been freely roaming throughout their country and organizing right under their very noses. Once that decision was made, Turkish police took action and captured senior Islamic State, ISIS, leader Bashar Khattab Ghazal al-Samadai. That news was released by the president of Turkey himself. He was quoted in state-owned news agency Anadolu. After he returned from a trip from the Balkans, President Erdogan spoke to journalists and informed them that this terrorist, codenamed Abu Zaid, was captured in an operation carried out by the Turkish police and Turkish intelligence. Erdogan said that the terrorist was transferred to judicial authorities and placed in prison in Turkey, after he was interrogated by police and intelligence personnel. This is a long-awaited and major step forward for Turkey. There has been tension and even murderous violence between Palestinian factions for decades. Palestinian factions band together only to, again and again, split apart. Algeria announced that it will mediate talks between Hamas and Fatah in a bid to mend the long-fraught ties between the two most prominent Palestinian factions. According to the Lebanese media, the Palestinians said that Algeria approached both Hamas and Fatah, and they all agreed that Algeria would host the peace talks in late September. They will most likely come to an agreement, but as always, it is unlikely that any agreement they do come to will last for very long. It will collapse after a few short weeks. And now a look at this evening's programming on JBS. At 7, it's The Wisdom of Dr. Ruth. Then it's Jewish Cinematheque with Eric Goldman, who sits down with filmmaker Aviva Kempner, who discusses her documentary, The Spy Behind Home Plate. At 8, Arsen Ostrovsky, a leading international human rights lawyer and voice in the pro-Israel community, discusses his work leading the ILF, a legal hub that centralizes organizations in the fight to promote justice, peace, and equality in the Middle East. At 9, Mark Golub speaks with Howard Goldstein on L'chaim. At 10, the late Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sachs speaks at the 92nd Street Y. And coming up next, Teisha Bader speaks with Israel's first ever Olympic medalist, Yael Arad, now the president of Israel's Olympic Committee, who describes being at the 50th anniversary ceremonies in Munich for the 11 Israeli athletes and coaches murdered by Palestinian terrorists at the 1972 Olympic Games, and discusses the significance of the apology and compensation deal from Germany. 5 decades later. This is Micah Halpern and the JBS News Update. I want to wish everyone a good evening.